What's up everyone? It's been a while since I've done a review. Let's see if I remember how to do them. Today we're looking at Call to Adventure by Brotherwise Games. It was a Kickstarter that I backed a little while ago and I have an unboxing. Link is up in the corner. You can go check it out for the unboxing. But if you stick around, we're going to show you the entire game anyway, a little bit of how it plays and what I think about it. So just to start off, I'll tell you a little bit about it. It is a card drafting game, a little bit of almost, it uses mechanics of worker placement without actually using workers to place. It's kind of hard to explain, so let me show you what I mean. Now you're going to set the board up a little different depending on how many players you have because you want everyone to have good equal access to everything that you're doing, but every player is going to get this board right here. You're first going to get a level 1 story card here that helps develop your character, and it's basically going to give you a introductory position. So in this case here we have the merchant. You may have an orphan. You might have a knight. You might something about your character that defines your character. In the second one, which has the tree growing a little bit more, is going to have a little bit more about what is motivating your character. So here I am a sole survivor. In the last one here, you have a hidden role, and this is sort of like your aspiration. This is what you're going to be at the very end of everything. In this example here, now it's hidden to the other players, but it is not hidden to you. You're allowed to look at it. So here I have an intrepid explorer. So I have a merchant who is the sole survivor of something. I get to define that, which is a really cool part of this. And my goal is to be the intrepid explorer. Here is where the game actually lies. That is in Act 1. There's an Act 1, 2, and 3. And this is how you're actually getting the funds to buy these cards. And this is why I said it feels a little like worker placement. And you're trying to build an engine that is going to get you better and better results from these runes to buy better and better cards up here to get more points. So this game feels very Euro and is an excellent card draft game. So let me show you a basic of how this works. So as a merchant, I have this, what I've been calling the magic wand and the crown. So on the card here, you have these different symbols that are going to tell you which runes you're allowed to roll. Now let's take a look at the runes real quick. There are basic runes, which are these ones. And on one side, they have a single success. And on the opposite side, they have a failure, or a blank, I guess. Not really a failure. The third one has a single success, and on the other side has a black and white triangle. These black and white triangles refer to these cards over here, which, you can call light side or dark side. You can call them good card, bad card, or as they are in the game, hero, anti-hero. So it doesn't really, you can choose to be kind of a villain, but really the story is structured around being a good person. So you might be an anti-hero, but you're never really going to be an antagonist. These cards give you benefits that you can use throughout the game, and every time you use them, they give you points that will contribute to your end score. So, how does this work? Well, I am now this merchant who is a sole survivor. Again, you wouldn't be able to see this one. And I am going to go after one of these cards on my turn. And if I wanted to go after this card as part of my story, I can say, as a merchant, there is an armed robbery. I can either defend my family or I can calm my attacker. Now up here it says next to armed robbery, it shows two symbols. Those symbols match, well, one of the symbols, the crown, the purple symbol, matches right here. That's what I'm allowed to use when I roll my test. So I've got already, no matter what, the 3 starter runes, which is the white runes with the black markings on them. Then I get to pick one purple rune that has that same marking because I have one purple. Then I would shake them up and roll them. Now, anytime you get the symbol, that means 2 successes. I've got this symbol, that's 1 success. So I have a total of 3 successes. The other 2 were blank. This one has a number 3 up here in the corner, that number 3, and that means that I succeeded at calming my attacker. This now becomes part of my storyline. So it goes underneath here. And what that means is that so a new card would come out. When it comes back around to my turn, down here I have gain a spirit guardian. So here's the restless spirit. I'm going out in the world, I find this restless spirit, and I want to gain a spirit guardian. Well, I can use the crown symbol. So I again would take my 3 starting runes, get 1 crown, and I get a 2nd crown. The maximum you can ever get is 3 because that's all that exists. This third one has the 3 dots on it. To get this one, you have to have 3. So these are optional for 1 and 2. They have a single success or a double success on them. Then I would roll this one. Same thing. I got 2, 4, 5, 6. 6 successes, way more than I needed. I needed 3. Down here it says +1, so I needed a total of 4. So I get this one. Then it would slot underneath here. When you move on to the 2nd act, you slot them here. Then the 3rd act, you slot them here. By the time you're done, you have a whole machine in. Now when I try to roll, if I'm rolling a test for these crowns, I get to use 1, 2, 3 crowns. So I would actually have a full set here. Now, because I rolled this one, I would get to choose. Do I want an anti-hero or a hero card? So say I would take a hero card, that would go into my hand, and that would help me out later. And I could just use it. You just read what it says, and it basically says you get to add an extra one of these types of runes to whatever type of thing you're doing. Once everyone at the table, well, not everyone at the table, so cancel that. Once somebody gets to a 3rd card under their 1st card, in other words, a 3rd Act 1 card, Act 2 instantly becomes available, and anyone can choose from Act 1 or Act 2. Once any person gets to a 3rd Act 2 card, Act 3 becomes available. Once it becomes a 3rd Act 3 card, that is then the end game. Everyone gets 1 turn, and then that's the end of it. Over here on the side of the board, that's where these come in. So as you get light, here's a really good example of that. The Foundling says, when you gain this, you get to gain 1 sun. This card, as long as you have whatever it says at the bottom, because there is no test, as long as you have what it says at the bottom, in this case, it just says you get to take it. If you take this card, you instantly go up. And then this card would go underneath as well. This gives you 3 light points. It also gets you 1 hero card. If you look next to here, it tells you get 4 light points at the end of the game, and you can only use light cards. You're not actually allowed to use the anti-hero cards, because that is as you go down here. So this actually blocks which one you're able to use. And once you get to here, you're at the top. You can only use those, but you do get 8 points at the end. The really fun part of this game is once you are all done, you tally up points, and it's very much a point salad. You can see here, you do kind of the same scoring that you do at the end of 7 Wonders, and you go through and count up points, and this works with this, and that works with that. By the time you're done, you have your point total. But if you really want to get the most fun you can out of this is a very quick and simple game. With 2 players, you can get through it in 20 minutes at max. But it's a lot of fun to sit down at the end and then tell your story. And with most games that make you do that, I don't want to do that at all. I want to play it for the game. But I really liked how this one was implemented, because you get so many different types of starting characters: squire, farmer, acolyte, beggar, conscript, sailor, hunter, noble, student. All of these types of starting pieces. Then you have all different types of things that have happened to you: soul survivor, magic, all different types of things that are given to you in the beginning to help build your character out. And the whole point is that you're going on the hero's journey. So in this one, I would say I was a merchant who was a sole survivor of an attack on our entire village. All the other merchants were wiped out, and I was the last one alive. But when the attacker came after me, I was able to calm him and tell him, just to leave me in peace. When he left me in peace, a spirit came down, and that spirit spoke to me and said that they knew that I was the chosen one because I was able to calm this attacker, and I would gain this spirit as a guardian who is going to help me from now on. You go through and you tell this story at the end, and it really makes it a lot of fun and makes you want to come back again and try again with a new character to build out a new story. I think that the card drafting is actually well implemented. These little runes are a lot of fun. Just, flipping them and seeing what you get is a lot of fun. People that have not played games are like heavy Euro games where you build the engine. Not sure exactly where I left off, but I'll say if somebody is new to Euro games and to engine building, I think that this is a great starter game for somebody learning how to build an engine and see how planning out that, these 3 symbols are going to help me get this, so I don't want to put all of my eggs into one basket, but getting them quickly will definitely help me build out later, and then trying to keep in mind that, this will help you out in the end. There's also symbols like this one here and like this one here that get you points at the end, but you can't get more points than if you get 4 of them. 4 of them gets you 8 points. After that, it's still just 8 points. So understanding the value of not getting too many of them, it scales incredibly well. I would say that it adds about 5 minutes per player. So a 2 player is a 20-minute game. A 4 player, which is the max, unless I think there was a 5 player expansion. There might have been. Maybe I'm wrong. But I know that in the base box, 4 players, that will take you about 30 minutes with 4 players. That's amazing. That's incredible because this doesn't feel like a filler game, but it takes up the time of a filler game. And I haven't really even talked about the fact of this push your luck risk reward scenario where you can buy these runes, the dark runes, using your experience points. You use those and you get to add these and flip them. And if you get this does count as a success, but you move down this track. So you risk your high points to move down, but to have more success chances to then go after the more pressing cards. And most likely, you'll use those at the end of the game because the first act is so easy. The second and third act is where it really becomes difficult to get some of those cards where, like, let's see, this one here, you actually need 6 successes. And if you want to lead the rebels, you're going to need 7 successes, which is going to make it much more difficult to do that. Overall, I highly recommend this game. I think that if you're into card drafting, if you're into engine building, you can't go wrong with this because it's so simple. And when you win or lose, you don't feel like you need to gloat and you don't feel like you need to pout. Because by the time you're done, you had a lot of fun. If you engage in that storytelling, it really makes everyone at the table go, all right, one more round. Let's try this again. Because it feels like you have one whole holistic game that you get to play from beginning to end, and winning is not the end game 100%. Whoever's really competitive can engage in that. But if you're not super competitive, then you can really just plan on building out your story and trying to heal the wounded or survive the flames. And some of these cards in here are less, let's see, like Steal to Survive gives you dark points, or you can forage for food and it gives you the mountain icon. So there's also choices that you're making in here. And if you're like, you know what, I'm going to be a good character, it makes you automatically want to go for this one instead of this one. But somebody else might try to steal this card from you. I think it is a definitely a simple game. And I think it is well worth the purchase to get this game and play it. And with the expansions that are announced, if you are a fantasy fan, you are going to absolutely love this game. One more thing I'd like to add is that there's also a solo mode, and there is a adversary, not really expansion, but module that makes the game more complex if that's what you're looking for as well. Sure, it does add on to the time a bit because there's a lot more things you need to consider, but with the adversaries and allies, you actually have a even more deep, rich experience, and if that's what your game group likes, then you even have that to add on top of it. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you like this review. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Throw up a like if you like the review, and subscribe for more gaming content. I really appreciate it. I'll see you all next time. New outro, I know. If you want to watch more in this series, click right here. If you would like to watch another video in a completely different series, click right here. And if you'd like an easy way to subscribe, other than clicking down below, even though it's right there and it says subscribe, you can click on this little picture right here. That also works.